Okay, welcome in everyone. Let's get cracking. So yeah, welcome everyone. not obviously, I don't do a lot of live streams, but seeing as BGT got cancelled, I just thought I'd throw one in. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. So yeah, just saying hello to everyone. Hello Dutchy, hello JP, TI Joe, welcome in. Wick's wife, Wayne C, Wazza. Hope everything's good. Yeah, so there's a few others in here. So basically, I'll just quickly give my thoughts on what I'm seeing. Just let me know if the music is too loud. I've put the music a little bit lower than what it was kind of at the start. So if the music is a bit loud, I can either put it down or put it up, kind of keeping it chill vibes in the background. So yeah, just let me know if the mic level and the music are kind of balanced. But yeah, so for the most part, okay, there's a few other people coming in. So I'm just going to get started basically because I don't necessarily want to take too long. So for the most part, just kind of looking high time frame, lower time frame. If we just hide, we are still basically going sideways, in my opinion. So obviously all of this is just all accumulation, kind of rise levels. So obviously we had a kind of bit of accumulation here, came up, bit of accumulation or level range, came up, and kind of the next phase would be obviously taking out the all-time high. Whether that happens this week or not is probably I wouldn't say, I wouldn't think it highly likely just given the macro environment currently. So for the most part now, I think we can just basically, so weekly time frame money markets off a B, nothing to really be concerned about. Obviously this week, kind of for those that use markets off a B or any momentum indicator, obviously they were pointing to the upside literally from the lows when we hit 107k. So that could be a stochastic RSI, could be momentum or markets off a B, could be a normal RSI, everything peaked up, right? So basically, obviously we've come up. Market participation, and then obviously I think I did show last week on Billy Goat Tails, we just had this range, the range below, not that one, it was one of these. So like there was this range here, we literally came down, hit the volume level, POC, hit the anchored VWAP, and then obviously for me to pull the, don't have it on my chart, but low to high. So what low was that? 98k to 124k. Pull a Fibonacci, hit the golden pocket. So bounce there. Literally, for the most part, it's looking okay. Lady, oh, Mark. Anyways, you can distract me now and mess up my train of thought. So all I've been doing, obviously, for those that don't know, trade volume profiles, volume weighted levels, VWAPs, and then obviously use markets off of B and vectors and kind of some other volume-based confluences for the most part as part of my trading strategy. So obviously we've had this little range deviation here for the most part, kind of traded there. What this is basically as well, kind of a more advanced, is auction market theory. So obviously we had a value here, volume profile, and obviously we've had the volume profile below. We've traded below, but then obviously failed to trade lower. So generally when you're looking at these, specifically when volume profiles are being used, if you don't trade below or continue to trade below or kind of create new volume below, you generally will either revert back to previous volume. So that could have been up or down. But what happened here as well was that obviously we found support, buyers came in, buyers stepped in, moved up. We did have kind of quite a bit of oversold kind of in this 107 area and obviously moved up. For the most part as well, if we look at market structure, kind of that kind of just gives us another kind of leg of basically what happened. So when we flipped kind of this zone here, specifically market structure wise, obviously we came up, put a lower high, a higher low, and then obviously went for another high. We broke that high and obviously have come down, higher low. So basically structure flipped here around 110, 111 structure flips. So there's been 2 higher lows. So these were the higher lows. If you were trading market structure, those would have been the higher lows to get in, or otherwise you could trade the internal, which is a bit more aggressive. Kind of the more aggressive one was just above 109, and obviously trade a golden pocket there. But for the most part, Bitcoin is looking good for me on market structure to hopefully go a bit higher. Obviously, the level for me to break is still this 17.3. If you revert back to my volume profile levels, 17.3, or basically those levels are in this upper profile. Where we've traded up, usually, so where we've now come back into this volume profile between 115.3 and 120, obviously we have that kind of we have 2 daily naked points of control, and then obviously we have a POC of this whole profile below. So for the most part, what I'm looking for now, and I think quite a few would be looking for, is to see if we actually get this. I just need to delete that and redo that, but just to see if we get this volume profile pull. So we have the Fibonacci 117.9 to 118.5 kind of literally on this POC. If this is going to be a lower high, we would expect, obviously, because there was the daily structure break. So obviously we had the high. Now we've made a lower high on the daily. Well, this is the 2-day, but yeah, daily, same thing. So daily made a lower high, lower low, sorry, terminology. Now the expectation is, if structure is going to keep kind of in line with the daily bearish structure, we still need to put in a lower high now again, which generally kind of when we're looking at the market, the volume profiles, they'll be either at the POCs usually, or can extend up to kind of the value area highs of the 786s. So we've kind of got a few things looking at that. Obviously the daily money flow for those kind of that use markets off is still red. The kind of clear indication there would obviously, when that flips, then obviously more buyers have stepped in. Obviously we've held support, we've basically flipped the daily, but this 117 level, 117.3 level is kind of the level we need to have daily closes above for the daily market structure to flip. So all of this here, kind of if we're just looking at market structure, is all just internal for now on the 4-hour, or internal on the daily but bullish on the 4-hour. So we need something like that, and then obviously maybe come back a bit higher low and go. So kind of that's the thought. So depending what happens here now, obviously this week could be a macro doozy because we have the rate cuts, and there's a varied amount of other macro news as well. So although I don't kind of just trade the news or kind of trade based off the news, I think it's just something to bear in mind. Everyone, I think, is getting a bit too bullish. The US economy is not looking good from my perspective. So it's just how now when the rate cut happens on Wednesday, how that's perceived. So the general consensus is that it should be okay, but generally as well, what happens is obviously 25 basis points is baked in. So I would expect, my best case was actually for us to dump into rate cuts on Bitcoin, but obviously now it's just going sideways and it's pushed back up. Generally, what's happened, kind of for those that watch Tino Traders Reality, he's been kind of clearly showing that we've smart money, kind of with the chart that he shows, smart money's been selling specifically on the TradFi side, so stocks and shares. So it looks as if any kind of rallies are being sold into. So yeah, that's kind of Bitcoin. Really only looking now kind of up. I'm looking now up because obviously the 4-hour, and we literally what, $1,600, $1,700 below. I would hope that we could flip daily bullish, but given that we've got rate cuts, we've got to trade carefully. We are probably thinking we could come down a bit still, obviously with the daily kind of being slightly overbought on the on markets alpha B. You probably find that roll over a little bit, but we're going sideways. And in bullish market structure, generally the dots on markets alpha B don't really, or red dots when you're in bullish structure, don't really give you all that much a move. It can be consolidation or it can be slight pullback. But at this point, now that we've this is the third daily close above this value area low, I would think I would think it's probable that we would either continue up into this zone, at first up to 118k, if that's the one option. The other option is we pull back and find support around here, find support between 112 to 113 is wheels. Obviously we've got the anchored VWAPs there, we've got another VWAP trailing up from the 107 low, volume weighted levels. And then you could probably also as well, if you really want to be pedantic about it, you could pull a VWAP, you could pull a Fibonacci, and that will give you the, depending where you pull, which low you pull it off, or anchor it to, or from the some 112 to 113 is basically where I would think it would land if it comes down first. Just with, low and go. So that's Bitcoin. Not really too much else to add, and look into. If we look at my scalping charts, I can go into the scalps chart. So this is more a whole different method that I use for scalping, specifically vectors, weekend trap zone. This is taught by Annie from Trade Travel Chill and Tino. So this is basically what I would use for scalping. So basically all we're in the weekend range still. If we're looking at open interest over the open interest, why is it not working now? Let's hope this reloads. Open interest indicator decided not to load on us. Yeah, so basically at 112 to 113 or 118 basically is the levels I'm looking at. If anything happens on Bitcoin, basically. Does this thing working now? Okay, yeah, now it's working. So what's been happening here consistently, I'll get into chat now, guys, but just finish this last little thought on Bitcoin, and then I can see who else is coming. If we look in this whole range of sideways here, basically from Friday afternoon after the high up here, we have been where we dumped there, they took out longs. We've taken out longs, and then obviously we've gone sideways, came back up a bit here. Obviously shorts were taking profit and some longs stepped in, and then obviously we've taken out those longs that were all long in here again. So it's done a double swap on the longs for the most part. Generally what should happen is open interest should go sideways, which it generally has, but because we've had these two swaps down, my thought is possible here that we had futures open about 20 minutes ago. We have CME opening in about 40 minutes to an hour, depending if you've got live feed on the CME or delayed feed. So what I'm thinking is probably we'll come back, if anything. Obviously the CME gap locally on the Binance chart's just above us at 116k ish. So I call it the settle close. And then that's where I am. If we're looking lower time frames, let's just hide these quick, and then so my macro overview, or the more key levels for me to look for more swing type trades, is either we get the heavy rejection here at 118, or we come back into 112 to 113. If we were looking at the 4 hour, time frame, it still needs to be come down a bit. There's not really too much divergence wise that I would say that we're actually going to get. We're getting a 4 hour green dot here, so it's probable that it looks like it wants to go up, just by what I'm seeing. Not to say it could just roll over and fall flat, but we've come into a little bit of gap now, what's called the dead gap between 5 p.m. EST and Asia, which is 8 p.m. EST for those in America. So for the most part, it looks as if it looks as if it wants to come up. But divergence wise, I just can't see anything. Obviously 15 minutes overbought, 30 minute could put a divergence, but actually I don't actually just don't see a local trade now. The local trades are obviously, if you really wanted to be risky, you can take the longs there for the week, for the weekend. If we had to look here, something that I've kind of, with Tino, and kind of also Wave Cipher, one of the other kind of guys that I've become good friends with recently. If you look at your EMA strategies, right, on the 15-minute, when you're in a 15-minute uptrend, kind of your 50 EMA above your 200 EMA, you buy the 200 EMA kind of retest as you come down. So basically that's kind of happened twice and deviated, and now you're going back up. So yeah, it looks as like there was two local longs there, but by that I can't really kind of clutch at straws to say what exactly price is going to do. Kind of I have levels above which I'm watching, and I have levels below that I'm watching. Kind of for me, we're in between, so I don't know if that resonates with anyone now kind of locally for trades. I'm not necessarily too interested, but yeah, that is kind of Bitcoin, and I've done about 15 minutes of blabbering, so I hope that makes sense. But yeah, not a hell of a lot going on. Obviously we had the weekend, obviously with the 2 swipes down now locally, but it's just looking as if yeah, it kind of needs to make a decision point. Obviously I think we could get some volatility Tuesday, Wednesday kind of into rate cuts, or it could do a lot of things, but the suggestion is, or kind of I would say my preferred option is to actually go down before rates. But if not, the kind of what I'm seeing currently from what I look at specifically kind of with my trading style is I see us probably heading more up, kind of just by what I'm seeing, right? But obviously I've got to give you 2 options. If it goes down, 112 to 113. If it goes up, kind of 117.7 to 118.3 basically is kind of the first key levels above us that I would be watching specifically, because obviously I trade with the volume profiles. But by that, not a hell of a lot. One thing I did want to look at specifically, oh sorry, Mortimer, welcome in. Who else is here? Barbalicious, welcome in. AG, Alexandra, welcome in as well. So yeah, kind of one thing I was wanting to look at quickly, everyone is obviously saying alt season and all of that. So I found these 2 charts, basically Dave and Billy kind of got me onto this. So this is total 2 ES, which is total 2 excluding stablecoins, and then obviously there's total 3 excluding stablecoins. When these break out, obviously if anyone's looking at alt season indicator, any of those type of things, obviously kind of it's an indication of alt season basically. But you can see these are also same like Bitcoin, strong alt trend. So for the most part, I think if you're looking at total 2, and these ones are only I don't even look at them on market cipher B for the most part. I look at them on market structure perspective. So at this point now, we've had daily closes above the kind of key resistance at 1.43 trillion on this total 2 excluding stablecoins. So yeah, I can do some alts in a bit, but I'm just kind of gauging some sentiment on kind of my thoughts kind of as to why we've moved up. Obviously this is good. What I would like us to see, I would like to see a bit more strength. So I would like to see from here, obviously it come back up, work its way up, and then kind of hold this level better, because obviously it's just like bad work there. It's not looking like a strong break of the level for me for the time being. What I do look at as well, kind of I have an indicator that I've worked out. So this gives you the current high and the low of the week. So this zone here is the current high and low of the week of kind of this particular chart. For me to remain bullish on this, obviously it can come down. So if it comes down, it needs to hold 1.382 or 1.38 trillion, if you call it that, right? So hopefully it holds there, and then obviously it can come up and then kind of give us the better structure. If we're looking at total 3, has actually had a better break and reclaim of it. If you can see, compared to the total 2 ES, the total 3 ES is looking a lot better, right? It's had a break and retest on the daily, whereas the total 2 literally did a kind of break and a doji, basically not the best in kind of my opinion. And yeah, it's good for it to close off. It's kind of, yeah, getting a bit overheated, overbought. So for the most part, yeah, also I would expect it to come down, like I just showed the kind of the weekly range of it, kind of that level there, kind of at 836 billion is kind of where, if it just kind of works its way down to find a higher low, is probably where I would hope it would come into to go. So yeah, generally alts looking a lot more bullish, and obviously some alts are performing better than others. So let's quickly look at Ethereum. Tell the truth. Cool, thank you, Tell the truth. So yeah, kind of just the thoughts based on that total 2ES and the total 3ES. Obviously, alts remain more bullish than what Bitcoin does. And yeah, ETH. We could probably look at the daily. So I have a huge volume profile range on ETH. So from 4150 to 4620, right? And what's happened is we've obviously started the range, came down. Obviously, yes, hindsight is a good thing, but obviously broken the range there, came back down. We found value below the value area high, and obviously now we've spent a lot of accumulation on the POC, which is obviously the high volume level. Based on that volume profile, for now, it's kind of done the same thing like what Total 3 had. That Total 3 had done is obviously daily close above, back test, but slightly slipping it now. So it's looking good, and hopefully the rate cuts don't come in and kind of wreck our dreams, yeah, with our alt season just yet. So generally just looking. Kind of scouting for something. If we put an anchored view up. So yeah, kind of what it could do is it could just eat from here. Kind of the volume profiles play out really weird, not really weird, but kind of one of the kind of their mechanics, if you call it that. It generally can either just do break, retest the value area high and go, or can do break, come down, find a higher low within the profile, and then kind of obviously then create your bullish structure. Or bar that, it can just work its way down and work its way down back to the POC, which is at 4,300. And I think a few people are looking at that. If you kind of scroll across kind of X or YouTube, other YouTube channels, I've seen 4,300 being touted as kind of the key support now, which is obviously our POC of this range. So yeah, kind of, I don't know if there's order blocks or anything there that's really worthwhile looking at. And I would rather put that as green because that's a support anchored view app. So yeah, I haven't got live chat on. Sorry guys, I don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys could be having an absolute field day without me. So yeah, 4 hours come down a bit. Where did we reject? It wasn't even a 4 hour block. There's some demand here, kind of, or supply, whatever you call it, resistance. Built up a range, obviously rejected. We could probably clutch at straws and just find a POC or something that it rejected off. So yeah, essentially it's kind of the small range up here. If we're looking specifically at volume profiles, it's rejected there, or I think actually kind of hindsighting here, it is just, I think it rejected is that lower? I thought we were here 786, but yeah, it's kind of between a 786 and a 618 retracement, but it's flipped structure, so generally bearish. It should actually flip that. Kind of looking at these levels here, we can actually just quickly go on to the ETH chart here with the structure, just to kind of be aware of kind of what market structure was doing on ETH. I basically only marked this out on the 4 hour. Kind of as I've been told, kind of the way I used to do it was just kind of with working with kind of trading Forex before I got into crypto. Like the 4 hour is your kind of your best time frame to trade, to look for swing trades. So yeah, what ETH did this week on Friday, it only broke the previous weekly high. But we could see here basically as well, when you're looking at a certain style of smart money concepts trading, your weekly range or your previous weekly range is kind of a bias for kind of how you trade. So obviously this is it's Spaceman BTC, I think, is the indicator. But what I've done is I've actually kind of adjusted it to actually have the levels. It just normally has the naming of the levels. It's something I'll release at some point, but still got to work on it and kind of perfect get the indicator better before I put it in the package. So yeah, for the most part, obviously weekly range. We flipped 4 hour structure there when it got to 43.83 on that. So it was on Wednesday, and then obviously it came down a bit, had a heavy rejection. I think this was the news. This was the PPI news on Wednesday, kind of where it did that kind of scammage. And then obviously it came back, retested the level of 43.83, then obviously worked its way up. It's come back up. So bullish structure. So my expectation is, because it's made two high lows on the 4 hour, I don't expect it. Well, anything can happen, but based on the 4 hour structure, I wouldn't expect the 4 hour structure to break. If anything, I would presume, or kind of my best kind of presumption would be that it'll probably go for the daily structure now, which this thing just doesn't want to show me. So yeah, the daily structure, it's a tough one, because basically it needs to break all-time high, right? It needs to break there. It literally needs to, it literally needs to break 4,800. So what I do with these, I use pivots. Lots of people would just look for, or other traders would just look for the break of the close of the daily candle. So close the daily candle above those closes. I generally use it another way. Either way is right. So depending how you trade, kind of a daily close above here kind of breaks the level, or a daily close above there kind of then flips your daily bullish, so you look for a higher low and go. The only thing is, I've been an advocate, and I've been speaking in Frankie's with my guys kind of in there, kind of the premium Discord in there kind of this week specifically. My worst case is pump into rates, because then obviously they built a hell of a lot of liquidity and they can dump it a lot more. So for the most part, I was actually hoping we would just range a bit rather than coming up, but kind of, we're not always going to be right, but kind of at this point now, price action is not ideally what I would have preferred. I would have preferred it to either range or not pump, and then obviously dump and then dump and pump after rates. But kind of, yeah, my bias unfortunately kind of screams lower, but I don't think my bias at this point for most things is obviously to come lower, obviously after the rate cuts. But I think what generally they're doing is they engineering liquidity and liquidations below. So if you can just look here, so this is just another indicator thing that I use. So I don't necessarily have to use the ETH is going to be stacked. So this is just the liquidation levels by Leviathan, I think it is. Yeah, liquidation levels by Leviathan, but then I split it into 3 tabs. So the red is the high leverage, the amber is 50x. So yeah, if you just look at ETH, obviously I can go back to Bitcoin as well, but obviously I didn't. You can just see it stacked. But this is also as well works on CVD and OR, so it's not necessary. It's a good representation of what the liquidity is, but obviously it's not necessarily going to be too accurate. But it does play out. You can see how they clear out the levels as they go up. There's going to be liquidity above highs and below lows. So yeah, ETH is looking good to come. If even on Bitcoin as well, kind of, we can just quickly flip back here. I mean, just go on the Bitcoin chart. I mean the Binance. You can see as well, there's liquidity. Kind of, I was looking at 112, 113. Kind of, generally the sweeps of liquidity takes out the 50x. The 100x is always going to get taken out, like 100, 200, 400, whatever x. The degens, they always get taken out, just as what it is. But the kind of the flushes and kind of the big liquidity grabs, or kind of liquidation hunts, cascades, whatever you want to call them, stop hunts, they generally will take out the 50x's. The 20 to 10x's, the blue ones, whatever the lower leverage ones, they generally safe for the most part, unless we literally have a big economic event or kind of global event, war, whatever you call it, and then obviously everything just tanks crazily. So yeah, it's looking, so from what I was saying kind of with ETH and kind of the way that I'm seeing it now is I think they're engineering liquidity and kind of getting people to go long here to kind of flush it down. So best case, kind of going into rates, I'd prefer it actually to not do much. If it does a lot kind of pre-rates, then I'll probably just won't trade this week. I'll probably just give it in and just say I'm over it. Because kind of I don't want to get caught in between kind of the crossfire of kind of the volatility this week. Yes, if a good setup presents itself, that is that kind of an A+ setup, right? An A+ setup for me on ETH is 4,300. If ETH sweeps 4,300 and I get my confirmations, which will probably be at that point, just looking at market stuff at that point, yeah, one hour, one div. Yeah, I generally at 4,300 coming down, I don't want to see anything below 400 4 hour. And guys and Frankies know I love my 4 hour divergences. So those are kind of for me, obviously 4 hour divergence with money flow, with kind of a buying up wick, or kind of shooting loads like the 15-minute and seeing what's known as a stopping volume candle. So kind of something like this. If you look at this wick here from earlier on this week, you can see how they just swept the liquidity, kind of buy up wick, gone sideways, and then obviously moved out. So cleared out the late longs. Kind of those are the type of things I'd be looking for on ETH. At this point, yeah, it's kind of a chilled Sunday, not doing a hell of a lot. Ideally as well, I'm not really looking for shorts on ETH because ETH is so close to all-time high. For me, it kind of doesn't make sense shorting it. Just set out the short on ETH and rather go with a long if it comes down. But kind of if we're looking at Bitcoin still got can go up to kind of the 118. Still got a bit of gap. I'd prefer to short Bitcoin than short ETH because just how it's looking at this point, kind of price action wise. Obviously, Bitcoin's got a bit more to go up, or can go up a little bit more than what ETH can, kind of between where they are comparatively to like all-time highs. So yeah, kind of if I was looking, if I was looking specifically just at ETH, yeah, I'm kind of looking like 43 to 4,400. That order block's been taken. And for those that don't know, let me just quickly give some alpha here. This is more a demand zone now rather than an order block, because an order block, generally for me, I use the 2 candle rule. And obviously everyone is different how they use order blocks and those type of things, or demand zones or supply zones. This red candle here is not the candle before the move, before the impulse back up. So that's why it's now more of a demand. And then also as well, if you're looking at the demand zone, you're looking you take literally all the candles before the pump. So you actually literally take all of that. So you kind of have a little bit of a demand zone here at like 4,500. I don't like that just because of risk to reward. Kind of 4,500 and you've got resistance at 4,600 is what, 2%. That's okay for a scalp, but I ideally want to kind of see lower, like 43 to 4,400 lower down here. The 786 anchored VWAP kind of DMPOC down here is probably the zone that I'll be looking for on kind of, I'd be most interested in kind of this zone here, anywhere between, and also as well for me kind of trading wise, it's been relatively tough. There was obviously 4 hour bullish divergences on Bitcoin at 107, kind of into those lows, and even here kind of if you didn't get long here for the swing, there was obviously re-entries, but where kind of you went lower low there, higher low there, kind of that was the 4 hour divergence. And then also as well, you can see the money flows coming up, so buyers are stepping in, so that's a good confluence. I don't know if there was, no, CVD's not showing anything. But if we look on the 15-minute, we might have had like a CVD divergence as well. So kind of me stacking confluences here where we were, yeah, there was CVD divergences here. My indicator pretty much picks it up as well. Yeah, it was building CVD divergence. Obviously buyers were stepping in to kind of absorb the sells, and obviously we had divergence, we had money flow coming up, so obviously buyers stepping in, and yeah, you probably would have had divergences on RSI or kind of other indicators as well. There were probably order blocks. Kind of there's various ways to kind of find your confluences, but kind of just based on what I was seeing, obviously the kind of this long here earlier on this week, kind of, or even last weekend, kind of was like the 42.50 ish, 42.20. That was the long on ETH. Yeah, what else? Let me pop back into chat. Yeah, tell the truth, it's not necessarily a liquidation chart, it's just an indicator. Yeah, so I just split it into 3 panels. Obviously, when you go kind of, I think you have to have obviously a certain level of trading view. But yeah, just go 3 tabs. And then basically when you go into settings, I can quickly show you. You go liquidation levels by Leviathan. It's all standard settings. Basically all standard settings, although it's OR and CVD. I think, yeah, if you screenshot this or if anyone wants to look at it, then basically all I do is kind of have the 3 panels, and then I only have the 100x on the one. Then obviously I create the next one, which I have the 50x, next one create the 25x, and I use these on Binance only. Yeah, Bitcoin's trying to go again. But yeah, so yeah, that's just a quick overview of it. We could look at liquidation levels, but it's basically the same thing. I think it's a given. Obviously, there's always going to be liquidity below lows and above highs. You can see basically on the kind of just looking at CoinGlass, kind of Bitcoin, kind of, yeah, up to 117.3, kind of where my POC is, and kind of those DMPOCs and local golden pocket, and then obviously below down to like 114.2 currently. If we look at ETH, I'll look at Solana now. I know everyone's pressing for me to do other coins, but yeah, kind of ETH's just ranging 45 if we've got up a time frame, kind of 45 and obviously 47. That's kind of the big ones. If you're looking at the 24 hours, 34 million. But this is only as well, this is only on Binance, right? So don't quote me on it. I don't look at symbol. You can look at symbol as well on CoinGlass if you're using that. Yeah, you got a lot. And it kind of will price will go where it wants to go, kind of. But also as well, you'd expect if they attack this, then obviously it's going to squeeze up, because basically all of these positions, a stop loss on a short basically has to buy it back. So market buys are stop losses for shorts, and obviously it cascades up and it goes up. Let's quickly check the 3-day. I think it'll be the week, because obviously it came into the level last week Saturday. What's happening? Basics on trading. Is there any good playlists you can recommend? SM. There is one of the trading YouTubers. I work for them. I work for Frankie Candles. He has a basic beginner series, so I can recommend looking at that kind of to kind of start out with. But obviously, like Mark Dutchy's just been saying as well, yeah, keep it simple. Don't use a whole lot of indicators. So yeah, look at Frankie Candles' basic course. I think it's a whole tutorial playlist on tutorial videos on YouTube. And then also as well, Jason Casper has a very good kind of free playlist as well. So I don't know if you can find those for me, Dutchy or Alexandra, if you can just find those in for, or kind of put them in the chat. And then also as well, specifically market structure, follow Wave Cipher. So he does have a Discord. I don't know if people can post, because let me, yeah, I can. So someone, yeah. So obviously Wave Cipher is very good for kind of the market structure things that Dutchy is suggesting. So those 3 are kind of, they aren't kind of the only ones that I watch, but those I think would be the best kind of start if you're looking basically for kind of just the basics or kind of certain strategies. You've got to find what works for you as well. So specifically what I do, I use lots of lines and shit, so don't quote me on it. So obviously my style might be way too technical for a beginner, but generally just learning market structure first would be good. Then find some solid kind of technical analysts on YouTube,
and this time
and kind of
£300 penalty
and
your way.
learn there. Oh, why is this doing this? Sorry, music stopped, guys. Let me just put some other music on. Yeah, so yeah, just follow Wavecypher, watch Frankie's free playlist as well, kind of beginner series, and obviously Jason Gasper. That's kind of the best three I would suggest at this point. But yeah, also as well, join groups, find some groups that will be decent for you as well to learn. There's plenty kind of ones that we follow specifically. So yeah, kind of there. So going back to kind of ETH, I'm either watching like 4,300, 4,400, or kind of just above, kind of here at this point, kind of anything from like 44 up to this POC, kind of at like 4,500. So there's like two zones specifically. Obviously, my best zone is obviously 4,300. So yeah, that was just kind of suggesting who you could probably kind of find to kind of watch and learn from. So I hope that's okay for you, SM. So yeah, that's ETH. Kind of obviously been blabbing around a bit. Cool, not really too much else. You could just do the cheeky all-time high short, but I don't like it. I'm looking more for longs on ETH than anything at this point. Dutchy. Well, anyways, well, that might change, Dutchy. So don't hold us to it, okay? Don't kind of hold us in contempt. Yeah, so that's ETH. Kind of, yeah, I'm only really looking at like kind of zone between 44, 4,500, and then obviously 4,300 and below. We have the overhang of obviously the rate cuts this week, so it could get a bit wild. Salamich. I don't know who was asking. Someone was. I think I told the truth. Okay. Solana. I want to get my chart going. It's basically. I'm just going to put daily. Since it's made its all-time high, obviously when had the meme craze last year, and obviously everything was a lot of running, there has been a volume profile basically between 247 at the top end of it and 180 at the bottom of it. And all we've done is we have rotated this whole volume profile range. We've flipped the daily structure back bullish. So actually from the lows we have really, if you really want to go kind of all the way back to like kind of July, kind of it did flip, obviously made a higher high there, higher low, kind of equal high, still higher low, higher high, higher low. But yeah, it's just on a full rotation, full rotation of this volume profile. Yeah, it's like everything at this point as well, kind of slightly overbought. The weekly slightly overbought. So yeah, it's just range trading for the most part. Low volume of what? Of the music. Put the music a little bit lower. But yeah. Or am I shouting again? Or maybe that music has got a bit more amplitude than the other one I had, the other playlist I had on. I thought it would level it out. Anyway, yeah, Rio Grande, hopefully that's okay. So yeah, kind of thoughts on Solana, done a full range rotation. So yeah, Solana, yeah, hopefully that's a bit better. Sorry guys. Yeah, done a full range rotation basically from 180 to 47. It's kind of looking oversold, overbought, and obviously it's weekend price action. I'm sorry, I just need to cough a bit. So yeah, Solana, high JV. Solana, 4 hours come down. Only concern is it had a 4-hour divergence into the level at this point. Although, kind of with the bullishness, kind of stuff doesn't diverge. It doesn't drop on a divergence unless you have your market structure break bearish, usually, kind of as a thing. So people always ask, yeah, divergences don't work. They don't work when you've got green money flow or bullish price action, right? Look, it's obviously had a 4-hour divergence. 4-hour bearish divergence into a level generally should be kind of a swing high, and kind of, yeah, drop from there. But seeing that the price action is fairly bullish on Solana, kind of the drop from there even is what, 2%. What's the drop been from the wick? 3%, almost 4%. It's kind of not a big drop at all. And also as well now, market suffer B, VWAP's not really rolling around. So you want that to start kind of coming back up for it to kind of do this and then obviously yeet. So for the most part, I think it might be in a bit of a corrective move now. Ideally though, I don't know why that was red. Sorry, this should be a green box because this is kind of where I was hoping for it to come back down to at some point. So hopefully come back down into there, of which it did, or did initially. I just had marked that out anyway, but you'll probably find it's done a 6. Well, yeah, it's done a local golden pocket retest already earlier on today. So yeah, it's still a bit bullish. Nothing to worry about really on Solana. Kind of the upward targets are still, we still have the all-time high. Daily candle looks like do with the long top wick. There's a daily order block there that it just came into. Yeah, Solana's looking good, but this is also as well, for those that don't know, obviously the treasury companies, kind of these companies in America buying ridiculous amounts of Solana. Now recently, obviously it's been Bitcoin and ETH before, but now Solana and Sui have now been the new things on the block recently for companies to accumulate. So yeah, just looking. You're going to need another green dot. You need price to come up basically to give it another drive. You've only had one drive of bearish divergence. I think it's, for me, the presumption here based on how this 4 hours looking, what's 8 hour looking like? Yeah, 8 hours looking for a green dot eventually. Daily, I would say best case for a short on this, if I was going to short it, I would hope for kind of another move up and make another high, kind of give a third drive of bearish divergence. So obviously you'll get a green dot there, and then obviously you come up a little bit, give you a red dot, and obviously you got kind of another drive of bearish divergence. That would probably be the best case for a short. If you don't see that, then yeah, just let longs ride and don't even try to short it. Kind of that is probably the consensus here. And also as well, kind of with these treasury companies kind of digressing and coming back to that point, the problem is spot is being bought. So specifically spot kind of is driving this price action up. Yes, there's perps, yes, perpetual leverage traders driving this up as well. But with these big spot treasury buys for these companies, that kind of has been obviously the injection in the price action, kind of the upward trajectory for the price action. New kids on the block. New crypto on the block. Oh, anyway. Yeah, there's not much really to look at Solana. I know, tell the truth, was looking at levels, but yeah, kind of, I'm hesitant to short it at this point until obviously we get to bearish market structure and kind of have at least a flip. So you would want it to break this 235 level and then give you a lower high, kind of like down like that, to go down back to the POC, because obviously it's now done a full rotation of the range. The key level to hold literally below it is 217, kind of the POC high volume level, but kind of need the market structure to break first. So yeah, break 235 on a 4 hour candle closing below here, and then obviously wait for a lower high, and then obviously that will be the short down. If that's not the case and just continues up, I think it's already hit the 786. Let me just double check it. Let me check myself. Yeah, I know the 786 is just above here. So high to low, basically all-time high back down to like that, just below $100 low. It's iffy. but kind of there should be some little bit of rejection or resistance up here. And that's not a swing for the fences rejection, right? Kind of, if you see kind of sell off, see a wick kind of through there, obviously like this top wick, and kind of sellers come in, and that could be, but probably the best case would be for the, if you're going to get another drive of 4-hour bearish divergence, you're going to, that would probably be the point where you look for a kind of another drive of bearish divergence, another high, basically into there, which with showing buyers being exhausted, obviously you're seeing selling wicks. So basically kind of see it in the candles, right? Read it in the candles. So you could do kind of like a big sell wick where you can see the wick at the top, kind of something like that. That would kind of give you kind of an indication that price is kind of losing steam, losing momentum. It already is, because you can see it's kind of fighting this 247, 248 level at this point. But yeah, 252 to 255 is kind of the next local-ish resistance above us. Local-ish support. Sorry. Let's just move that out the way. Let's delete that. 4-hour structures there. It's kind of midpoint for me, so just be careful here. If we come down, obviously if we come down here, hopefully you're in the short, but this is kind of the thought. Obviously you've got a local golden pocket and 2 daily naked points of control there, kind of volume weighted levels. So kind of between 225 and 227 you have some support generally, or should have hopefully some support there if you come down. But if you're coming down here, the better short is, or the better kind of long is back to the POC at 217 in my opinion, kind of the I put more weight on that level specifically because of volume profile rotation. So it can still remain bullish. It can still remain bullish if it comes all the way down here. It can still remain bullish if it works its way all the way down here and then can change market structure again and go on the lower time frames. Yes, it will kind of be bearish there on the 4-hour, but it won't be bearish on the daily. So yes, it's obviously it will work its way down. Obviously, a kind of market structure will depict on the daily. If the daily flips, then obviously you've got problems. So if the daily on Solana, let me just check what that level is. I'd say 200. It's more of a range here. This is the issue. There's a 4-hour block, order block there as well. 203, which I was watching. We never really got back to. And it's just literally been daily green candles all the way up. 4-hour. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's 4 hours. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong flipping time frame. Daily, in my opinion, is not bearish until it loses 200. So it can come back in, literally come back into any of these kind of two levels between 225, 227, or kind of in that zone as well, between 216 and 220, and still remain quite bullish. And obviously as well, you've got to bear in mind that this is a trend, right? You've got trend-based liquidity. Obviously, you have lots of longs come in. So all of this, there's going to be stops all the way below here. So it can speed up and come down. But for me, yeah, kind of 225, 227 or 216 to 220 are kind of the levels I would watch to the downside if Solana comes down. But bear in mind as well, if you break 235, look for a lower high to kind of target. First target for me, if that becomes a lower high there, then obviously the 227, 225 level becomes a TP for the short kind of. And I'll be using the 4-hour structure to kind of get into that if I was looking at it. Let's just see what else is going on. Back to chat. What do you think they project price to get for them to take profit long-term investment? The Solana one is a bit weird, right? Rio Grande, because basically with that it's Sol strategies. So from what I understand with that, they're actually going to do a whole lot of different strategies to maximize their gains. So they're going to use DeFi, they're going to use yield, they're going to use staking, they're going to do various things with the Solana they buy to actually kind of maximize. But I would predict it's a longer term hold, specifically on the Solana one. I wouldn't, if they're buying at 250, I would expect they're not going to, unless they capitulate, right? Unless they capitulate and literally just flash sell everything, I would kind of expect they're looking at least for like a 4x, 5x at the very least. And also as well, the one good thing about the Sol Strategies one is it's raising money without using debt. So like what the ETH and the Bitcoin people are doing is they are selling shares, devaluing their businesses, but buying Bitcoin or Ethereum. Whereas the Sol one, they actually have investors. People are giving them hard money to invest into kind of buying. It's more of a fund rather than an actual business with shares. So it's a Sol Strategies fund business listed on NASDAQ. I can't remember the name. But yeah, it's a bit of a better business model, specifically with the Solana-based one than obviously the ETH and the MicroStrategy or Strategy one with Bitcoin. So, or even Metaplanet. Metaplanet also are kind of devaluing their shares to buy Bitcoin and kind of doing share issues to buy Bitcoin. So for the most part, the Solana one I think just looks a little bit more promising because they're actually using money. They're not devaluing their businesses or kind of the business is basically kind of around that Sol business. Just to kind of get yield and make money on the Sol. It's not like Strategy with just buying Bitcoin and holding, Metaplanet, same thing, buying and holding and just keeping it as on their balance sheet. They're actually going to make the Sol work for them to make money out of it, right? So, and also as well, they're using investor money. People is like, yeah, here's 10 million, here's 20 million, I'm investing. And obviously, I think maybe they'll get share and percentage. I don't know how the whole thing works, but for the most part, kind of it's looking interesting and looking a lot better than kind of the way that the Bitcoin kind of and ETH treasuries are working and kind of doing kind of their business to actually buy the ETH and Bitcoin. Lost earbuds. You can do some DCA things on AltCoins around the bear market. Yeah, it's too early to kind of get onto all of that, but I think for kind of obviously I will kind of close it all in the bear market next year. Or kind of the bear accumulation, however it goes. Obviously, we don't know what the kind of bear market is going to look like just yet. I would think that, I'll do some videos kind of around the strategy and what to do, how to kind of accumulate, what to accumulate. Obviously, things like Solana should still be around. So yeah, we'll kind of and obviously we'll have new coins and kind of other things to look at as well. Generally. Kind of, I think the consensus is a lot of coins, just the old coins specifically, just lose value to Bitcoin and go to zero, become vaporware. So we kind of got to be wary of that. But I think for the first stage of kind of DCAing on the way down, it's just going to be Bitcoin and ETH, I think, and then probably Solana, and then obviously after that you'll get into the more risky kind of higher profit yielding or percentage yielding stuff, kind of. Once Bitcoin and ETH and everything else starts running a little bit more kind of from their bear market lows or wherever that is. Solana. Anyone else want me to look at anything? Sol currently rejecting 50 SMA. So obviously, do I have the SMA on here? I don't. I do have it. 202 unclosed, none 14 there. Why is it not showing on my chart? Did I take it off? MA. Daily 200? 4 hour? 1 hour? Must be like the 15-minute or something, Jesse. Yeah, 15-minute, kind of is around the 15-minute SMA. 15-minute 200 SMA, Jesse. If you look at Sol, I can quickly look at the scalp chart. Just rejecting the 50 EMA as well on the 15-minute, 4-hour. I think it's going to come. I would like it to come back to the 50%. Kind of just how I trade these kind of for my weekly trades. It's in a 4-hour uptrend, right? Provided we don't lose 206, we don't lose the 200 EMA at least, or at worst on Sol, it's still going up. And can literally come all the way back to like this 200, 210 level and still be bullish, in my opinion. So yeah. I like these 50% kind of, or what's known as a previous week EQ. I call it 50%. The 50% of this week's range would be a good higher low. So obviously work its way down and then kind of can do something like that and go. Money flow, yeah, it's looking good. It's just had the red dot daily. I think it's the same with Bitcoin. It's looking for a daily red dot. Like everything is starting to be, obviously after a really bullish week, you would expect everything to kind of have a bit of kind of loss of momentum, kind of chill out a bit. Mortimer's soul, man. Yeah, but that's about it. What else? Is anything? Obviously, I've blabbered on for like about an hour and a bit just on Sol ETH. Is there anything else anyone wants me to do? Otherwise, we'll call it there. And obviously, I haven't gone through lots, but hopefully, kind of just speaking through process and kind of what I was seeing kind of currently. Bitcoin just hanging around 116, doesn't know what it wants to do yet. Oh, I'm on the 1 hour, that's what I was thinking. Looks like absolute deuce. I don't know why this thing isn't working. Did I do my... Oh, I did on the spot chart like an idiot. Should have done on the perps chart. That's why it wasn't looking good. Still within the weekend range. We're so close to kind of the CME gap. CME is just about to open, so we can have a look at that. But basically, not really too much. Any coins? Well, otherwise, I think we're going to call it there, guys. Obviously, I didn't go through a lot, but obviously, kind of just giving you guys an outlook for the week, at least, specifically on the big three. And then, yeah, obviously, I'll be in the chats and I'll be kind of, I'll be around on the week. So, yeah. Let me go have a quick look here. Anyone else live who we can go over to? Obviously, I can't. I think Wave Cypher's. I think he's probably going to do it later. An hour or two will be his kind of weekly close stream. So yeah, not a hell of a lot hanging up. Yeah, cool. So I think we'll leave it there, guys. Yeah, thanks for everyone that coming in. Obviously, Billy Goat sales got cancelled, and obviously I didn't really look through a hell of a lot of coins, but kind of just speaking kind of on what I'm thinking and hoping for, kind of my presumptions kind of for the week ahead. But yeah, I'll keep in contact, or kind of, yeah, I'll be in the streams, kind of the other streams that we support. So obviously Army Piper's streams, or the Piper Academy streams, obviously Frankie, Jason Casper, yeah, kind of obviously Joe, TR Trade Intuition. I'll kind of lurk more than anything there, because obviously I've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment. So some streams I lurk, some streams are kind of I'm more active in. So yeah, we'll see you guys around. Hope everyone has a good rest of the evening. Yeah, for now, Bitcoin's just going sideways, market's going sideways, doesn't know what it wants to do. But yeah, we'll know kind of the initial move for the week, kind of within the next few hours, kind of with Asia coming in about an hour or two. So yeah, cheers. Thanks everyone. I hope everyone, yeah, stays well. We'll see you guys during the week.